San Francisco's got a pattern. Every time people call it finished, it comes back stronger than before, and now it's doing it again. Okay, you already know about the AI boom in San Francisco, but at the same time, there are other things happening, and when you put these all together, it is going to help San Francisco thrive in the next 5 years. Right now, we're going to start with the thing that everybody thinks they understand. Bay Area AI funding in 2025 was $122 billion. That's more than 3/4 of all AI funding in the country. And the SF Metro Venture Capital's total in 2025 is $152.5 billion. 44.9% of every VC dollar in the US is here in the Bay Area, the highest share the city has captured going back over a decade. If you're new here, I'm Clyde Jeffrey. I'm a real estate agent and I help people buy and sell in San Francisco every single day. Now here's how that sort of connects to commercial real estate. San Francisco just had its strongest quarter in office leasing in years. 4.2 million square feet signed in the first quarter of 2026 alone. Anthropic signed for 420,000 square feet downtown at the start of the year, and OpenAI's already built out close to 1 million square feet in Mission Bay. And this isn't just a handful of headline deals, right? Office leasing here is projected to grow 15% in 2026 to 12.8 million square feet for the year. Vacancy here is falling down to 28% in the first quarter. That's the second straight quarterly drop. Net absorption, meaning more space getting filled than emptied, just hit its strongest point since 2019. Here's the thing, you can't fake these headlines. Companies don't sign 15 to 20-year leases in a city that they think is dying. And if you've driven through Soma and Mission Bay lately, you can feel this for sure. The demand is spreading into Dogpatch and Potrero Hill. These neighborhoods used to just be like warehouses and have industrial use, right? And the AI industry is moving out of just software into hardware and robotics, and it's happening in those same neighborhoods. So what does this actually mean if you're thinking about buying here? It means the job base underneath the city isn't just recovering, it's showing up in parts of the city that didn't see this kind of demand 5 years ago. When companies are signing decade-plus leases and hiring at this pace, that's not speculation, that's demand for housing near where the jobs are, and this should be for years to come. So that's the part most people already know about. Here's the part that's actually going to determine what the city looks like in 5 years. And it has nothing to do with AI. San Francisco just unlocked capacity for over 36,200 new homes after 50 years of some of the strictest zoning in the country. That alone should change how you think about the city's next 5 years. Okay, so let me break this down a little bit. In December 2025, Mayor Lurie signed the family zoning plan into law. And it's the biggest residential upzoning San Francisco's had since the city did this big downsizing event back in 1978. Almost 50 years, the city has had some of the tightest building restrictions in the country, and that has just changed. This plan focuses on parts of the city that have barely built anything new in decades. The west side and the north side. Corridors like Geary, Van Ness, California, Taraval, Judah, 19th Avenue, they now support 6 to 8 story buildings, and select major intersections can go even higher. That's not a few blocks, it touches tens of thousands of parcels all over the city. Now here's why that happened. San Francisco was under a state mandate to make room for 82,000 new homes by 2031. And if the city hadn't passed a compliant plan by the end of January 2026, it would have lost control over its zoning entirely. Developers could have just built anything, anywhere with no local review at all. That's what they call a builder's remedy. And it's exactly what cities really want to avoid. So this wasn't just San Francisco deciding to build more. It was San Francisco choosing to build more on its own terms instead of losing control of the process altogether. Okay, so what this means if you're buying or selling here. For sellers, especially when sitting on a property along one of these newly rezoned corridors, this is worth paying attention to. What you're allowed to build on that lot may have just changed. For buyers, it means more housing options will be coming online in parts of the city that have been frozen for decades. And these are neighborhoods with good schools and easy access to transit that families have wanted to live in for years, but simply couldn't afford because there wasn't any room. Okay, this change will take years to show up, but it's already reshaped what people expect from neighborhoods that didn't see a single new building in half a century. Now, a fair question. None of this matters if people don't feel safe living here. So let's talk about that. I'm not gonna pretend the last few years were easy. If you spent any time on the news, you heard the words doom loop more times than you can count. But here's what's actually happened over the last 3 years. San Francisco has had 3 straight years of falling crime. In 2023, crime hit its lowest point in over a decade. In 2024, it fell again. Violent crime down 14%, property crime down 30%. And in 2025, it fell again. Violent crime down 18%, property crime down 27%. We had 28 homicides citywide, the lowest number since 1954. The police department credits a combination of things. New technology like drones and automated license plate readers, a district attorney's office that's actually been securing convictions, and a real push on staffing. Mayor Lurie put it plainly. Violent crime is down to levels not seen since the 1950s. Car break-ins are at a 22-year low, and citywide crime is down 30% since he took office. Here's why this actually matters if you're buying or selling here. Safety still comes up in almost every buyer conversation I have. This hasn't changed. The reputation hasn't caught up to the data. And honestly, I get it. But if you're actually living here day to day, you can feel the difference. Ask anyone who's been walking the streets the last couple of years. Definitely something shifted. And for sellers who've been waiting for the narrative to catch up before listing, the data says that shift is already underway, even if those headlines haven't quite gotten there yet. Okay, a few good years doesn't undo a decade of headlines overnight. And public perception always lags behind the data. But perception actually catches up to reality eventually. And when it does, it tends to show up first in the home values and in the neighborhoods that recover fastest. My team and I do this every single day. We meet with people on Zoom, we meet with people over the phone. Give me a call, reach out, set up an appointment. All my information is below. All right, back to the list. Reason number 4 is about people voting with their money, and it is a big one. 2 years ago, the people buying office buildings in San Francisco, they were mostly private, opportunistic investors picking up distressed properties for cents on the dollar. The big institutional money, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, the players who take multi-decade bets, those guys were staying away. And that has completely changed. According to JLL, institutional capital now makes up to 60 to 70% of all office investment activity in San Francisco, up from just 20% 2 years ago. That is not a small shift. That is a complete change in who's buying in San Francisco. JLL isn't just tracking the shift, they're calling San Francisco the second most sought after office investment market in the entire country right now, just behind New York, with some of their own analysts betting it becomes the top market in the country before the decade's out. You can see it in the actual deals. The Transamerica Pyramid Complex just sold for $692 million. A New York-based investment firm took over a 45-story tower at 45 Fremont. Investors have already poured $1.7 billion into San Francisco offices in 2026, putting this year on pace to beat 2025. And 2025 investment volume itself had jumped 140% year over year before. These aren't local bargain hunters anymore. These are national and global investors making long horizon bets with real institutional money. Okay, here's why that matters. Institutional investors don't chase headlines. They run models. They have research teams whose entire job it is to be right about where a market is headed 5, 10, 15 years out. And they get paid based on being right, not on being optimistic. When that class of investors shifts from avoiding a market to competing for trophy assets in it, that's a signal worth paying attention to, whether you're deciding to list your home or buy your first place here. So, the money's coming back, but money alone doesn't make a place worth living in. That's the last piece. The thing that matters doesn't show up in the stats and the numbers. San Francisco is actually a great place to live. It's not just good on paper good, it is actually good. It's only 49 square miles. You can get across town in 20 minutes on a good day. Golden Gate Park, which is bigger than Central Park, is a short drive from anywhere. The beach, the redwoods, wine country, world-class hiking, it's all within an hour. And then there's the food scene. We've got 30 Michelin star restaurants, including California's, which is the first Mexican restaurant in the world to earn 3 Michelin stars. Here's the thing, the city has a pull on the people who love it. 20 plus years I've been here. I've seen my friends and my clients love this city, and I've seen this play out. They move to a neighborhood that they love. I've got tons of videos on this, so you can link to them. Best for families, best for walking, etc. Where you land in the city changes everything about how you experience it. AI money, zoning reform, safety numbers, institutional capital can't buy this piece. San Francisco is thriving because all 5 things are happening at once. Okay, if you want to know more about moving to San Francisco, go here. If you want to know more about the San Francisco real estate market, go here. I've lived in the city over 20 years and it still surprises me. And if you want to be part of whatever's next here, I'd love to help you find your spot in it. Subscribe if you want more, and I'll see you in the next one.